Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name is Dominica DeTavio and I'm the Brand Relationship Manager here at Fractl. So today I'm very excited to be sitting down with Kristin Tynski, our Senior Vice President of Creative and a partner and co-founder of Fractl.
Thanks so much for having me today.
Welcome to the channel. Today's Kristin's going to be talking about her latest research post on Moz, which was published in August, called The Long-Term Link Acquisition Value of Content Marketing. This research is really interesting and explains that when measured over the long term, the ROI of content marketing is many times more than what was previously thought. So first off, Kristin, what inspired you to dig deeper and start to measure these content marketing campaigns over the long term?
Yeah, so we typically do reporting to our clients on the number of pickups, the overall domain authority, the number of social shares that any piece of content that we promote to top-tier publishers garners over that first month. And then it's kind of out in the ether for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and we never report on the additional value created by those pieces of content and the additional links and domain authority and social shares that they accumulate over that time period. So we were really curious to understand how much value is really generated during that first month that we report on and how much value is generated after that first month. And as Dominica said, we found that actually half the value is created after that first month over the course of the next 1 to 2 years. So the bulk does come in the first month, but there's still a ton of value to be realized that we've actually never been reporting on to our clients that they enjoy with the work that we do for them.
That is really interesting because clients aren't really aware of how well their campaign does after we report on it for the first month.
That's true. I mean, they will see the organic ranking improvements that are generated by those results, but it's not something that we report on or that we're really able to report on in the long term. So putting an actual number to it was something that we really wanted to do.
So how did you go about conducting all of this research?
So it's a pretty labor-intensive process, which is why we typically spend the first month reporting, and then after that we don't anymore. In this case, we were looking at 2 different types of links. So direct links from publishers to our client site, and then also secondary links, other sites linking to the publisher's content that then linked to our client site. So it's kind of a 2-tiered approach, and because of that, it was difficult to use manual methods to aggregate all of those links since a lot of them were secondary links.
So you collected all of this data like over the 2-year term or 1 to 2 year term for 4 client campaigns that were featured on mainstream press?
That's right, yes.
And when you gathered all of the data and you had it right in front of you, were you surprised by what you saw?
I mean, I think we had an expectation that there was a lot of additional value created after the first month, but we weren't clear on exactly how large that value was. So yes, I think we were all really surprised that it was, at least the amount of value that was created in the first month was then created throughout the next 6 months to 2 years, depending on the campaign. Another thing that really surprised us was that there were often instances where there were secondary explosions of sharing happening. So well past 1 month, you might have a mainstream publisher who again picked up the story after seeing it randomly or just thinking that it might make a good story because they came across it. And then that would cause another chain reaction of downstream syndications and would result in sometimes value rivaling what we saw in the first month. So there were occasions where that happened. It was a little bit more unusual to see that, but with some of the most major campaigns that we featured in this article, you saw it a few times. So that was pretty surprising too.
That spike, like that huge spike several months after the exclusive went live, that actually happened with Perceptions of Perfection, a campaign for Superdrug, right?
Yeah, that was a really good example. I think the reason for it is because it's a very evergreen piece of content around body image, and so it didn't have a time limit on how interesting people found it.
So for the study, you measured 4 content marketing campaigns that we produced on behalf of our clients. Do you want to walk us through one of them and maybe speak to why you think it resonated so much with audiences well after the exclusive went live?
Sure. So one of the 4 that we profiled was a campaign called Perceptions of Perfection. and it was a cross-cultural look at beauty norms. And so we hired designers from dozens of different countries to recreate the same female model using Photoshop in whatever they perceive to be the ultimate beauty standard for their country. And I think the reason it did so well was first that it was extremely visually impactful. Second, it gave really interesting, deep insight into cross-cultural differences. And then lastly, it touched on a very emotional topic of body image, and sort of revealed something that wasn't really out there before. So I think it was a combination of all of those factors. And then the reason that I think it did well in the long term was because it's an evergreen topic. It's something that is emotionally resonant no matter when it's done, essentially. I think that was really the totality of the reasons for its success.
So initially, this campaign earned 485 do follow links in the first month or so that we measured the success, and then we stopped measuring the success. And then when you went back recently and looked at all of the backlinks and press mentions that had earned over 2 years, what did you find?
So we saw roughly double the number of additional do follow links, and then similarly with secondary links to those primary pickup stories. And then even since the articles come out, it's accumulated even more. So it continues to generate do follow links from high domain authority sites, and we expect it to for a while.
So going back to the study, what would you say is the main point you want to drive home, main takeaway that you found from conducting this research?
I would say that it takes more than just a month to realize the full value of a successful content marketing campaign, and that any estimations of ROI should be done on a 6-month, year, 2-year basis to really understand, was putting the money into this type of marketing activity worthwhile? And from what we found is for successful campaigns, the ROI is typically 2x what you see at 1 month, which means that the cost per link or cost per do follow, depending on what you're measuring, is roughly half what you would have otherwise calculated it to be. And so the tactic overall is twice as effective as we had initially anticipated it being.
Wow. So thank you so much for joining me today. That is all we have for today. Kristin will be back in an upcoming video on her actually latest research on Moz, and which we're really excited about. So if you like this video, please feel free to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any comments or questions, you can leave them in the comments below or reach out to me directly at dominica@fractl. Thanks for watching.
Thanks so much for having me.